A Fox News alert now. Ryan Routh, the man accused of attempting to assassinate the president last year, is in court right now in Florida. It's his final pretrial hearing before jury selection next week, and he is apparently representing himself today. Routh is facing 5 federal charges, including attempted assassination of a major presidential candidate and a slew of weapons charges. His criminal defense attorney, here's criminal defense attorney Donna Rotuno.
Given the fact that he has this long, extensive history, a mental health history, I am quite surprised that there have been no requests here to determine his fitness to stand trial, because I think if there's ever an issue coming back in an appeals court, that may be something that is risen. And I'm surprised that the public defenders that were originally assigned to this case did not raise that issue.
So our Dana Marie McNichol is live in Fort Pierce, just outside the federal courthouse now. Dana Marie, what's the latest?
Hi, Aisha. Well, Ryan Routh, as you just mentioned, is in court right now for that last hearing. He will be taking center stage after firing those public defenders last month. So here's what we could expect for the beginning of next week's trial. Ryan Routh will be in business attire after Federal Judge Aileen Cannon ordered the shackles be removed. Prosecutors raised concerns that he might wear political clothing. Routh is expected to face challenges as his trial moves forward. Judge Cannon has ruled that Routh cannot access any classified information, citing risks to U.S. national security. Although Routh dismissed his public defenders, Judge Cannon is requiring the attorneys to remain on standby for Routh to help with any legal advice when needed. Now, court documents paint a picture of Routh's bizarre antics before he attempted the assassination, but a motive remains unclear. Questions remain about Routh's international ties and why he was closely tracking the president's movements with several cell phones. Back in March, President Trump called for answers.
He had 6 cell phones. That's a lot of cell phones. And a couple of them had some strange markings on them. So, yeah, I want to find out.
And looking ahead to next week, Aisha, jury selection begins on Monday. The judge ordered partial sequestration for that jury to prevent any outside interference from the media.
Okay, Dana Marie McNichol in Florida for us. Dana Marie, thank you. Let's bring in Andrew Cherkasky, former federal prosecutor. Andrew, it's very interesting that he would decide that he wants to represent himself. The argument he's making here to the judge is that I'm innocent, and these guys over here, my defense attorneys, don't believe me. So how could they defend me? But what do you make of him choosing to go this route?
Well, I think he is desperate to turn this into a circus or into a show trial where he puts his character up against the character of Donald Trump. The problem is on every level, he's going to lose and lose spectacularly. The government here has a rock solid case. They have weapons on him. They have the gun being fired. They have a note that suggested that he wanted to kill President Trump. And I do not think that there's any grounds here to have an insanity defense, because he went to a specific place with the tools necessary to execute the plan to assassinate Donald Trump, who was there at the location. Somebody who's insane would have a very difficult time putting all of those pieces of the puzzle together to still not appreciate the nature of their conduct. So he is going to do his best to be vocal and to try to get political points out, to try to attack Donald Trump. But he is the victim here, President Trump. And I think that Judge Aileen Cannon is going to keep the trial very much on track.
Yeah, it does. I do agree. It does sound like he's trying to make headlines here instead of actually trying to fight for his freedom. And I want to ask you about his state of mind. I think that's a question that often comes up with this guy, especially because some of the local affiliates in Florida were reporting that he was begging to trade him for hostages around the world. He said that he wants to be useful and not spend life in prison with no usefulness. And he talked about being traded for hostages in Russia, in Iran, Hong Kong. What does that tell you about his state of mind? Is there a potential that a jury looks at him and wonders if he's in the right state of mind?
I think that it says that he is trying his best to be a political martyr, that he is trying to create some path to get what he is looking for, the cause that he is fighting for. He is so far off, though, from any common sense of morality or dignity in how he is going about this everything from the actions on the day in question through the trial. He has a right to defend himself, but I do not think that the jury is going to start to wonder about insanity issues or that sort of thing, because as I said, he took very deliberate steps that took a remarkable amount of planning, and that actually took him not only to the golf course, but he was there when President Trump was there. That was information that was not particularly available to the public. And so all of those pieces together show that he is acting in a particularly directed and intentional manner, not insane, even though the actions to outsiders may seem crazy or may seem wild, and particularly to the entirety of our country here. He does not have that defense.
Before I let you go here, Andrew, just so we're prepared for what happens next week here, does he, because he's representing himself now, does he get a say in jury selection, or do his public defenders that are still kind of standing by because of what the judge asked for, do they have a say in that, or what's he exactly going to do with jury selection?
He has a right to consult with his standby counsel, but he is the one who's engaged in jury selection, opening statements, cross-examinations, even his own testimony. He would be doing it on his own. And then, of course, closing arguments. He also has to navigate all of the legal technical grounds to discuss with the judge, to make objections and whatnot. So he is deep in over his head. And I do think that we're going to have a very slow trial while they try to deal with that.
It sounds like we're in for a ride. So we'll watch it in the next couple of days. Andrew, thanks for joining us. Good to see you.
Thank you.
The pool of potential jurors is narrowing for the high-profile federal trial of Ryan Routh, who faces charges for attempting to assassinate President Donald Trump at his West Palm Beach golf club in September 2024. During the second day of jury selection in Fort Pierce, Florida, U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon eliminated a woman who asserted, "I am MAGA," as a potential juror for the trial. Cannon, a Trump appointee, claimed the statement exhibited self-declared bias. Another woman was removed as a potential juror for claiming she only follows God's law on a questionnaire. However, Cannon refused to cut a potential juror who claimed that he knows Trump personally. The potential juror claimed that he had breakfast with Trump and First Lady Melania Trump 25 years ago when he was considered for a job at a golf course. However, Cannon said the potential juror would still be able to participate fairly in the trial, despite the interaction decades ago. 3 groups of 60 potential jurors are undergoing the jury selection process, where prosecutors and Routh ask potential jurors questions to assess if they can fairly participate in the trial. The jury selection process got underway on Monday and is expected to conclude Wednesday. Routh is representing himself. Ultimately, the jury selection process will identify 12 jurors and 4 alternates for the trial. During Monday's session, Routh's questions for potential jurors included their views on the war in Gaza, their position on the U.S. potentially acquiring Greenland as the president has floated, and how they would act if they were driving and spotted a turtle in the middle of the road. In response, Cannon labeled them politically charged and said that they were unnecessary for jury selection. "None of the questions on your list have any bearing whatsoever. They were off base, sir, and have no relevance to jury selection," Cannon said. According to prosecutors, Routh planned to kill Trump for weeks and hid out in shrubbery on September 15, 2024, when a Secret Service agent detected him pointing a rifle at Trump while the then presidential candidate played golf. Routh aimed his rifle at the agent, but abandoned his weapon and the scene after the Secret Service agents opened fire. Routh was later apprehended by the Martin County, Florida Sheriff's Office on the Thal I-95 interstate in a black Nissan Xterra. According to the Justice Department, he is charged with attempted assassination of a major presidential candidate, possessing a firearm in furtherance of a crime of violence, assaulting a federal officer, felon in possession of a firearm and ammunition, and possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. Routh also faces state charges related to terrorism and attempted murder. Routh, who has pleaded not guilty to all charges, was previously convicted of felonies in North Carolina in 2002 and 2010.